welcome into the Week 15 episode of Craze's Corner. This is the first week of the playoffs in most leagues, so stick tuned. We're going to be talking about some guys who can win you your matchups this week single-handedly. Think of what Alvin Kamara did last year in the championship round when he put up his 56 points. We're talking about some guys with the potential to maybe not put up 56 points, put up in the 30-40 range. So you're definitely going to want to stay tuned for that. But we're going to start with some news. For the Cowboys, Tyron Smith, he is going to be out this week against Washington. Another note for the Cowboys is that Tony Pollard also is not practicing, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. See how that backfield shapes up, missing a big part of the offensive line. Maybe that's not quite the situation you want to be in, but then Washington is dealing with some injuries on their defensive line as well, so maybe it will be. Then we're going to move on to Lamar Jackson, who is currently day-to-day, according to John Harbaugh. He said yesterday that they were hoping and that they're going to kind of plan that Lamar will be playing. But at this time, there's really no other news. Obviously, with the ankle injury, Lamar is a very active quarterback, so it will be interesting to see if this ankle injury hinders him. I am trying to avoid starting Lamar Jackson this week. I'm looking at other guys like Kirk Cousins and that kind of play. And then the biggest story of the week, and something that's going to, I think, continue to be a big story, is COVID. We are seeing a massive COVID outbreak throughout the leagues. Two teams, the Washington football team and the Browns, each have 18 players on the COVID-19 list. The Rams are another team who's dealing with a massive outbreak with 16. The league's got to do something to get this under control, whether it's enforcing masks within the team facilities for everyone, daily testing. Something's got to get done because having 18 players out come game day, that's a huge hit, especially with some of the bigger name guys. So they're going to figure something out, whether it is, the NFL just says, nah, screw you, whatever. But what do you guys think the NFL should do? Obviously, they probably won't postpone any games by weeks because there is no more room. There's going to be no more weekends without football unless, you just cancel a Pro Bowl, which, I'm okay with that. Like, who really needs to watch the Pro Bowl? But what do you guys think? Let us know using the Media app. The Media app's a virtual press conferencing app. It's available on the Google Play and App Store. It allows you to you host your own virtual press conference. You can talk about whatever you want. You can trash talk. When you win your fantasy football championship, you can put out a whole virtual press conference, send it to your league mates. Just brag about winning. So yeah, I definitely recommend you guys check that out. It's on the Google Play and App Store. And now let's welcome in our guest. Tonight we have a full house. We have Will, Jeff, and Ocean State Zach. How's it going today, guys?
We're here.
Good, just here so I don't get fined.
Well, COVID is going to have a big impact on some teams, some fantasy football teams going forward. But one team in particular that's struggling right now is Zach's team at the running back position with Gaskins, Ahmed. Literally, Philip Lindsay's also on the COVID list. So there's just at the point where Malcolm Brown might be back this week, Duke Johnson. But I'm not touching anyone in that backfield. Are you looking at anyone in some deeper leagues there, Zach? Maybe deeper leagues I might, but let's have Zach touch on this situation here.
Yeah, I'll make it brief. Zero confidence in anybody other than Myles Gaskin starting. Unless, I don't know. So basically, if Gaskin, Lindsay don't play, it's a gamble with Malcolm Brown potentially coming back, or Duke Johnson, or, I don't know, Lamar Miller. Maybe Adrian Peterson wants to throw on the jersey for the day, be an honorary Dolphin running back. But yeah, no, I can't have much confidence. And this is the week you can't really afford to miss on that, dice throw of picking which Dolphins running back you want.
Yeah, unless you're in like a 12, 14 team league and you're kind of desperate, your play of Rex Burkhead last week, he's out now too for this week. So
how about that play though?
Yeah, he was all right. He was all right. Royce Freeman was better though. And that's the sad thing. But yeah, so as you guys know, we record this on Wednesday night. And Zach actually had the idea of doing a little fun segment. I think we're gonna make a weekly thing where we make some nice predictions about how the Thursday night game is gonna go. And then you guys are gonna be watching this on Friday or Saturday, and you're gonna either get to be like, "Oh, that guy knows what he's talking about." You're gonna be able to make fun of us. So I'm gonna start, and I think Travis Kelce has a massive week going up against the. So you're gonna be looking back on this. Travis Kelce is gonna have scored 25 plus points. You're gonna be like, this guy right here, he knows what he's talking about. Zach, what are your thoughts on the game we just watched last night?
Wow, what a game from Byron Pringle. I told you to start him. Hope you listened. No, Austin Eckler, man. Guy's awesome. I feel like that's almost too easy, but what do you guys got?
Go ahead, Jeff.
Man, I was about to go out on a limb and say, get ready for the return of Josh Gordon.
Let's go. Flash.
I mean, he scored last week, so maybe he did it again last night.
They are looking for that third receiver, man. I think they're going to be like, we're trying to get this guy. And, hey, the Chargers aren't a bad defense to go ahead and go against, other than, that secondary we thought was going to be a lot better than what they are. So, but anyway, I'm talking about Tyreek Hill. I'm not talking about I'm messing with you guys, man.
Yeah.
He might be good for a few targets, but Tyreek Hill, I think, is going to go bonkers tomorrow. So we'll look at that.
Let's go.
Will, you going to call your shot here, Will?
I'm going to go with Mahomes. I think Mahomes gives us that real fantasy value you always thought you'd get with him. I think it's 3 touchdowns, probably 2 passing, 1 running, and he puts up good numbers. And, if I was in the playoffs and I had him on my roster, I'd be playing him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it goes well. Mahomes had a big night last night. He threw those 2 touchdowns to Travis Kelce. So, you look back
or
on this.
Hill.
No, not Tyreek Hill. Not Tyreek Hill. It's Travis Kelce's game. Travis Kelce's the one who had the massive game. But let's get into some guys who are going to win you your matchups this week. We're talking fantasy playoffs. Each of us has picked 3 players who we are fully confident starting, fully confident that this guy can easily exceed his projections for the week. And, kind of like Dalvin Cook did last week with the 200 yards. So that's a perfect way to start off with. Zach and I actually have Dalvin Cook picked as our first player. Madison's still on the COVID list. They're going up against the Bears defense, who's been kind of middle of the pack. He's coming off a big week. He can only get healthier from where he was last week, I think. Not really sure. No one really knew how healthy he was going to be until he came out. We were talking about make sure you play him. Hopefully you did play him, because that was a massive week, and I think he could have another big week as well. I expect a big week from all the Vikings. I brought up Kirk Cousins before. But yeah, for me, it's got to be Dalvin Cook. I could see him having another 30-point game. What about you? What's your reason for picking Dalvin Cook, Zach?
You touched on it with the Bears defense not being really that great. They're definitely not terrible, but if you look back to last week, Aaron Jones had 1 on the ground and 1 through the air. Is that correct? But so, yeah. They bottled up A.J. Dillon, and really Aaron Jones didn't do much besides the 2 touchdowns. So if you're needing some points in a playoff matchup, get Dalvin Cook. I think you feel comfortable he's going to probably get you a 2-touchdown game, give you that advantage, just the 2 touchdowns alone. But I don't know if the yards will be there like last week, over 200 yards. But that was also against the terrible Steelers. So yeah. Dalvin Cook should take care of the job for you.
Any thoughts from our resident Vikings fan here, Will? You think Dalvin Cook's going to have a big week?
I guarantee you the game's going to be close, and that means Dalvin will play the whole game.
Yep.
And because I think anybody playing Dalvin last week thought, well, man, he's going to be out by the 3rd quarter. There's no way they're going to keep him in. So I think the most important lesson from last week is the Vikings, no matter how big of a lead, it's going to come down to the last play of the game, good or bad. So Dalvin's a good bet. I will say the Vikings have a hard time in Chicago under Zimmer. They won there last year, but they've had struggles there. But maybe what makes Dalvin more dangerous in this game is I think you'll see the Vikings use him more as a wide receiver. or as a receiving threat than running this week. More screen passes, trying to deal with that crowd, and they'll probably be really hyped up. So yeah, I think in the points per reception, Dalvin may get you a lot of points this week.
Never sure. Any quick thoughts here, Jeff, on Dalvin Cook this week?
No, just expect him to at least reach the end zone. I still can't believe how they shredded Pittsburgh's run defense. I mean, they have just fallen off a cliff. I mean,
the holes that offensive line was opening up.
We should develop a segment called "Poor Rookie," featuring Pat Fryermuth, man. One against the Lions and now last week, man. Yeah. The dude was headed, I thought he's going to be great, man, until it always comes down to that last minute. It's like, don't go to him.
I mean, anyway. You can't go to Chase Claypool either. He'll just celebrating, cost you the game.
Exactly. Exactly.
Let's move on to Will's first player here. I'll let you introduce your quarterback pick, Will.
I'm telling you, I'm all in on Kyler Murray this week. Playing the Lions, rough loss last week, a little bit of criticism for the end of the game. I'm all in. I think he's gonna have. I don't think this game's close. I think this game's over at halftime. I think he may have 4 touchdowns in the first half, 2 passing, 2 running. I just think it's a great matchup and a great comeback game for him. And he got to feel like he has to go out there and prove something this week. So, yeah, I'm all in. With Kyler in Arizona, I'm all in.
So, I was leads up to my next question. With Kyler, if you think Kyler's going to have a big week, obviously DeAndre Hopkins is out for probably the rest of the season. So, which of the Cardinals wide receivers are you pairing with Kyler Murray this week? Because you can probably pick one of them up off the waiver wire.
Well, if you're asking which receiving, I would say Zach Ertz, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think it depends. Is Edmonds back this week? I think if Edmonds comes back this week, it could be an interesting week for him too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Edmonds will be back this week. Connor is still day-to-day with his ankle injury. So, yeah, Chase Edmonds for me. I think if he plays, he should see a lot of targets. And then, to me, I hate to say it, but I think A.J. Green might actually have a good week this week. The Cardinals have been really trying to get Rondale more involved, running the ball and everything, but it just hasn't seemed to work out as of late. So, yeah, for me, if I'm picking one of them, it's got to be A.J. Green, but I do think Kyler Murray will have a big week, especially on the ground against the porous Lions defense. Any thoughts here, Jeff? You all in on Kyler Murray as well?
You know what? I mean, now that Connor is possibly injured, I think he will be actually running the ball. Or if Chase Edmonds plays, he might be dumping the ball off. So, yeah, I have a feeling if they do get close to the goal line, it won't be just handing off to James Conner. So I'd say I'm looking more at him possibly doing some damage with his legs this week, a little bit more than what he did on Monday night. So I'll take that one. It's not bad. I like Kyler.
Anything to add, Zach?
I think the only downside of the potential of Kyler this week is if the game is like 21-0 in like going into the second quarter. Obviously, with what their season has amounted to, they're not going to risk losing Kyler for the playoffs against the Lions. So yeah, that's probably your only.
They could probably go in the game starting Colt McCoy and still win by 20 points. So
right.
Yeah, that definitely is something to keep in mind.
How dare you guys slander the Lions like that? They got one fang left. They're going to fight with that one fang and one paw. That's about what they're down to now.
Doesn't matter. Colt McCoy would still tear apart the defense. But, Jeff, let's have you introduce your first player here. I'll let you pick. Who are you going to talk about first?
I'm just going for a short thing in Devonta Adams. Rodgers is going to be going to him often. 13 targets last week, 9 targets the week before that. That is his main guy. The Ravens secondary doesn't scare me. And then he finishes off against Cleveland. which is known to give up a lot of points to receivers as well. So Devontae Adams, I'm looking at a floor of maybe 20 points. Ceiling could be 36 to 40.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the Ravens secondaries was struggling with injuries then. There's not much you can do about that, but at the situation they sit now, they probably do have some of the worst starting corners. Obviously the Lions are down there, but no one's really scared of the Ravens secondary right now. And Devontae Adams can make any corner look silly. So I definitely support that pick. I just as confident there, Zach. I think 20 points probably is close to his floor. You agree?
Yep, definitely. And he's one of those players that seems to every year kind of carry your team come playoff time. I remember that game last year in the snow when he had like 3 touchdowns. Yes, he had an absolute. He literally won me a matchup I had no business winning, and it was my only Super Bowl championship last year. And the guy is still salty about it to this day because, man, he had such a lead on me. And Devontae Adams literally won me the game. So that's a great choice. If you're going to depend on somebody in the playoff time, that guy is just an absolute beast. I think he's the best wide receiver in the NFL.
And does our Vikings fan agree with the Packer being?
Well, I just wonder. Yes, I agree. I think the only thing that concerns me is if the Packers get up, it's kind of the same thing with Kyler Murray. Like, are they? Well, at what point do they get concerned about Aaron Rodgers' foot, his toe, and at what point do they start saying, "Hey, we're up. Let's rest these guys just a little bit"? Because the one thing I think is going to happen this year, because I saw that story about how this is the first year I think since 2008 that no one's clinched a playoff spot at this point in the season. With that, the top of the bracket's really heavy. And if you're playing for home field advantage, you may not be able to take week 18 off and rest your starters. And so, I think you'll at some point, a team like the Packers, when do you get a big enough lead that maybe you rest guys for a couple of series just to try to build in some rest as you're heading into the playoffs? So similar to what Ocean said about Kyler Murray, I think the same thing you start wondering with the Packers, when is enough, and they kind of get some second, third string guys in there to play.
Yeah, I mean,
I did have one thing to say about that. I kind of thought about that, but you got to understand as well, even though the Ravens secondary is bad, they are still fighting to maintain that division lead. So Harbaugh is going to have them fight. I think it could be anything, if it does get into the 20s or whatever, the Ravens are going to keep fighting. And I think that is going to force Green Bay to continue to keep their starters in the game. I don't know what Huntley, I believe, is the quarterback, is going to do, if he's going to fumble away the game or what. But if he's somewhat competent, it could be a closer game. Not saying a low-scoring game, but it could be a, somewhat maybe 8-point to 10-point lead to where it's going to force Green Bay to continue to keep their starters in.
Yeah, I mean, and
honestly, who else do they have at wide receiver to throw in there as well? So
yeah, Lamar still has a chance to play too, right? So if Lamar is playing, then I think that question is completely out of the game because I don't think the Ravens will be losing by that much if Lamar is in. But let's move on to Zach's quarterback pick here, which I do agree with, and I am starting. So let's have you introduce your player here.
Yep. The Oregon Duck, Justin Herbert, playing against the division rival Los Angeles Chargers. My buddy, shout out to Mikey B, Handle Biz on Instagram. He's at SoFi Stadium. He's sending me pictures, and that's a bad A stadium for sure. I can see why the NFL is promoting it so hard. But yeah, 4 touchdowns last time they played the Chiefs. One of his top 4 performances of the year, I believe. This game's got a sweet over/under of 52. And I think the last time they played it was 34-24. So that was 58 points. So if they kind of settle in that area, Justin Herbert should have himself a day. Kansas City's defense has definitely been playing better. However, I think that, it's Chargers offense too high powered. They're going to have to keep up with points. So Justin Herbert will get you through the first round of the playoffs. If you have him as your quarterback, you should feel very, very confident.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be one of those things where you're going to be able to look back as soon as you guys are watching this. You're going to be able to look back and be like, Zach made the good call, or, the Chiefs defense locks up Justin Herbert. You're like,
This guy's an idiot.
Maybe we don't listen to these guys next pick. We'll listen to the other Zach. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm for Herbert. I think even though the Chiefs' defense has been better these past few weeks, I think that the firepower of the Chargers' offense is going to be too much for them to stop. And as you said, the Chiefs are on a roll, so they will have to be putting up points. Do either Will or Jeff disagree with Zach's point there? Nope.
No.
All right. Let's move on to my another running back that I think could have a massive week. His team is struggling with COVID. His backup running back is out. His quarterback is also out. I'm talking about Nick Chubb.
Yep.
I think Chubb's going to have a huge week. Case Keenum made the comment about having a Chubb in the backfield earlier today. So, he's going to be literally the only weapon on the offense. Jarvis is out. Hunt is out. They're playing the Raiders, but I don't think the Raiders defense is good enough. Even if they put, 8 men in the box, Nick Chubb should still have a massive game because he's going to see the touches. Since Kareem Hunt's out, he's going to see the targets as well. He'll probably score twice. I think Nick Chubb is set for, even with the offensive line being out, I think Nick Chubb is set for a massive week. Unfortunately, I'm playing against him in fantasy, so I really, really hope what I'm saying does not turn out to be true. But with that being said, I'm all for Chubb, and I think he's going to have a massive week. Do you agree? You agree, Zach? Other Zach?
It's so funny. The minute you said it, I was like, this guy's going Nick Chubb. And I almost picked Nick Chubb, but I thought you guys were all gonna make fun of me and be like, the whole team's out. He's gonna suck. He lost his 2 starting linemen. But I actually think that the Raiders are definitely vulnerable defense, and Nick Chubb is incredible. And with him being the only reliable option at the moment. So maybe by default he just gets a crazy workload, which just pays off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's got the ability to break a big play anytime he's got the ball in his hands. So, if he gets in that 25, 30 carry range, you're not going to be disappointed. I think he could get up there. He could probably see upwards of 35 touches in this game. So, what do you think, Jeff? You think 35 touches is a little much?
I don't see who else they have, honestly. So, but the only thing is, sometimes the Raiders find a way to get something to get a little bit of pride on their defense. And that loss last week, that went back to Raiders legends talking how bad everything looked. And when I see Max Crosby sitting there slamming his helmet down there, they're known to actually show up, every now and again. And I think, honestly, this might be that week that they show up. Just like Ocean was saying with the 2 linemen being out, hell, almost everybody's out in Cleveland. I'm surprised they're even having this game be played, to tell you the truth. This is one of those games where you're like, yeah, Chubb should run all over the place, but a defense that the Raiders have that have shown up earlier during the season, it might show back up again, stack the box, and kind of limit Chubb to, like some of the earlier games that he's had, to where they weren't too stellar. So
yeah, I think
we'll see.
I think the Raiders are probably done for the season, to be honest. We've seen this trend when you get the interim head coaches. The interim head coaches start off strong and then they fall off come the end of the season. That's kind of what I think they're going to have going on with all the other problems that they've had. The Damon Arnett situation, the Henry Ruggs situation, which had nothing to do with the coaching staff. With everything that's going on, I think the Raiders are done for the season. I think that the defense might be able to get, a few sacks on Case Keenum and whatever, because their pass rush has been really good. But, once that happens, what are the Browns going to do? Screen pass, Nick Chubb, wide open. So, I'm not super worried about the Raiders defense. Are you worried about the defense there, Will? I saw you were agreeing with what Jeff was saying there.
This Raiders seem to be one of those teams that, like Jeff said, they just pop up at the most inopportune time. The game you think they're done, they're over with, and then all of a sudden they decide they want to play. And I think the bigger concern for me with Cleveland is if it goes through this coaching staff, then it becomes an issue of, can we get the play in? Can we get the right play in? Now, I think Keenum might be the perfect quarterback for that disaster because I think he has high NFL IQ. And so it'll be interesting to see how that game plays. I wonder if Keenum ends up being kind of a coach on the field and just takes over the offense. Now, if that happens, I think that's really the Chubb's advantage, because if it's, look, our defense can shut them down and we'll win this game 6-3, Chubb could get a lot of touches. It'll just be interesting to see how it shakes out. But I think the coaching staff with the COVID is way more important to this game than the players right now.
Yeah, and I think even with the coaching staff, they might have some more simplified plays, which then in turn benefits Nick Chubb even more, because it's going to be, HB dive, HB dive, HB dive, screen pass. And then they'll eventually try to take some shots, obviously, downfield, because you're going to have to. But like I said, I'm not too worried. But we're going to move on to Will's next player, actually, who is currently in position to be the first Triple Crown winner at the wide receiver position, since none other than my favorite player of all time, Steve Smith Sr., who did it in 2005. Cooper Kupp currently leads the NFL in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. So Will, let us know why Cooper Kupp is going to have a massive week this week.
I think you need to ask Jeff that question.
All right, Jeff. So why is Cooper Kupp going to absolutely annihilate your secondary?
Because our secondary sucks right about now. When you let Davis Mills hook up with Brandon Cooks a number of times, it just lets you know everything you need to know about what's going to happen this upcoming week. So unless they finally figure out something, I don't know. We sometimes play the Rams pretty tough, but
sometimes you guys were also a good
there's
team.
reason to have optimism. The way that Matt Stafford looked last week, and Kupp is his cup of tea. I'm with them on that, unfortunately.
The real reason I picked this because this game's in LA. If this game was in Seattle, I'm not sure I would have picked it, because Seattle, like the Raiders, this might be a game emotionally they raise up. Without the 12th man there, and the way the Rams look focused right now on defense, especially. Oh man, this game could get ugly very quickly.
It could. Any thoughts on Cooper Kupp, Zach?
He's the man. He's right there up there with Devontae Adams, in my opinion, as the 1A, 1B best wide receivers in the NFL. And I have him on my dynasty team, and it's the only league I made the playoffs. So I will be with you, Jeff, cheering on Cooper Kupp, and I'm sorry he's gonna do what he's gonna do to your team. But yeah, Cooper Kupp, love him. I mean, that's greatness.
Yeah, I was
Ice
high
up, son.
Ice up, son. I was high on Cooper Kupp coming into the season. I was kind of excited. He's finally going to get his quarterback. We'd seen what he'd done with Jared Goff. He got his quarterback, and he's absolute. As much as I don't want someone to win the Triple Crown, just because Steve Smith is the last one to do it, I wouldn't be upset if Cooper Kupp does it, because he definitely deserves it. He's been having an amazing season. But let's move on to Jeff's next player. Not super excited about this one. I don't like this player. I think Zach probably already knows who it is, and he doesn't know what Jeff's pick is. So
Let's go.
This player will be done after this season, though.
He's elite.
Dynasty value is 0. But continue on, Jeff.
Zach hates this guy, and that's why I went ahead and picked him. Not only has he hated him since the beginning of the season, he had reason to hate him last week since his team beat his beloved Panthers, which I have no idea how these guys are even in the conversation for possibly making the playoffs. It is not.
Cordell Patterson did not have a great week last week.
He didn't let me get it out.
Without that touchdown last week, Cordell Patterson would have had an extremely disappointing. They absolutely locked him up in the receiving game. He had a total of 1 yard receiving on 2 targets. And then, he had the carries, but, he was only on the field 49% of the time. Another reason why I don't like Cordell Patterson. He's not on the field all the time. Panthers defense showing you can stop him. You just have to actually have competent corners. So continue on, though.
Which San Francisco does not have.
No, they
neither
do not.
does Detroit. So that's why I'm saying this dude is always a sneaky play. He is one of the reasons why I am in the playoffs is because I have had this guy starting a couple of weeks, and his floor, except for the 2 weeks where he played two very tough teams, his floor is usually around 15 points. His ceiling sometimes is 25 to 31. So against the 49ers, and then also against Detroit, I think this guy is good for at least one touchdown, if not two. The only thing that's been bothering me is that now they've started to give Mike Davis the ball a little bit as well, which I don't know what the hell Arthur Smith is doing.
Mike Davis is the better running back on that team.
And that is horrible if that is the situation that when you're able to make that statement. But Mike Davis
I confidently make that statement
the entire season. But Cordell Patterson has been finding the end zone either through the air or by touches. And that's what I love about him. If you're playing in Yahoo, you're able to play this guy in 2 spots, 3 spots if you're including the flex. Wide receiver, running back, or in the flex. That's what I love about him. And that's why I think he will be the sneaky play to get you into that championship game or win you the championship.
I'll let Zach continue on what you were saying, and I'll chime in at the end again. But
yeah, I mean, you definitely you might want to talk to someone about your feelings for Cordell Patterson. If I'm being totally honest, I haven't seen someone go so hard.
Just this season.
Yeah. But Zach for some reason does not like Cordell Patterson, and I can't see why. The guy is great. He wears 84 as a running back. That makes my eyes hurt, but other than that, you love to see like a 33-year-old guy break out and carry your team. He's without a doubt the waiver wire pickup of the year, and he has some cake matchups coming up. So Cordell Patterson, great pick. Definitely, if you have him, man, you probably in the playoffs. I can't imagine too many people that picked him up and weren't able to take advantage of that. So, yeah, Cordell Patterson taking home the hardware.
Any thoughts on Cordell Patterson, Will?
We'll see. We'll see. If the game was in Atlanta, I'd feel better about it this week. The 49ers are rolling right now. And they believe. Right? You can see it on the field. The 49ers believe that they are a good team. And I don't
Jeff, you can't look like that. They're absolutely destroying your team in the record.
In the record, but not in the game. We've got 2 wins over them this season.
Yeah, but you know, those are like 2 wins of your 3 wins on the season.
Hey, man's got a point.
Hey, is this coming from a Panthers fan?
Yeah, keep pounding. Yeah, keep pounding. All right.
Look at their last 4 games. Look at their last 4 games. They scored 3 points against Dallas, 0 against the Patriots, 17 against the Buccaneers, and then they won last week with 29. I don't think they break 14 points against the 49ers.
Did you see the game last week?
I don't think they break 14 points against the 49ers on the road. Don't believe it.
Okay.
Yep. I think the 49ers are pretty – I think they're a decent defense. I actually have one of them as one of the better matchups this week for fantasy. But the only reason why I do is because of the pressure I think they're going to be able to apply on Matt Ryan and probably cause some turnovers. But I still think if there's going to be someone that's going to score a touchdown, to bank on Mike Davis scoring again is –
I would not start Mike Davis. No.
Right.
I would start Cordell Patterson over Mike Davis. I just said Mike Davis is my running back.
And
that's it.
Right. And Russell Gage's ceiling is what, knee high? So you're banking on Kyle Pitts, who has 1 touchdown in the season. Cordell Patterson is going to fall in the end zone at least once.
Yeah.
No, I think Pitts will score over Patterson. But yeah, what you were saying about the 49ers being able to get pressure. They have 5 sacks last week, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery against Joe Burrow. So I think they'll probably
that pressure. That's where Patterson sneaks around the outside and they just dump it over the top, and he's there for some little dump off touchdown.
So you don't understand. So
like, how did this guy score?
The reason Mike Davis has been in the game more than Cordell Patterson is because Mike Davis is a better pass protector. Going up against a team with a great front seven, you have to have a running back in who can block, which leads to Cordell Patterson. Last week, he was lining up outside a lot more than we had seen him do and Mike Davis was in the backfield because they needed someone to protect. And when Cordell Patterson's lined up outside, he doesn't get the mismatches against the linebackers. They put a corner on him, and that's where Cordell Patterson doesn't succeed. He succeeds out of the backfield when he gets those mismatchups against the linebackers, when he gets lost in translation. But when they have to have a running back in who can make those pass blocks, that's not going to be Cordell Patterson. That's going to be Mike Davis. And that's another reason why I'm starting Cordell Patterson if he's on my team. I picked him up off waivers in Dynasty, and I traded him as soon as I could. I got some draft pick capital in return. I don't think Cordell Patterson will be anything after this year, but yeah, those are my thoughts on the Cordell Patterson Mike Davis situation. I just Cordell Patterson has.
It just hurts you, Zach, to even say his name, man.
Like,
it must have been like pulling teeth.
He ruined David Montgomery for me.
Like, oh my
God. He ruined David Montgomery for me 2 years in a row.
No. Matt Nagy.
Ruined
David Montgomery.
Exactly. But Cordell Patterson was the guy who was getting in the way. But let's move on to Zach's next player here. He's going to represent his home. He's going to show his true colors here. I'll let you introduce your next guy here, Zach.
Yep. No surprise here. Jalen Waddle is probably going to be wide receiver 1 this week. Last time he's
top 5.
Jets.
Top 5.
Top 3.
Oh, top 3.
Going bold, hot take. Let me tell you something, Max. Jalen Waddle is really good at football, and I think the last 8 games he has 2 games with less than double-digit targets, and in one of those games it was 8. So he's going to get the targets again. No backfield. The Jets are the Jets, and Tua obviously loves throwing to Waddle because he loves the 2-yard slants. So I think if you're in especially a full PPR league, you're going to see a great return with Jalen Waddle, and I think Jamar Chase did some damage last week to the race with those 2 touchdowns, but I think you're looking at possibly the best rookie wide receiver in the NFL.
Wow. I mean, I think that's bold. Are you worried at all about Devontae Parker being back and healthy now? He's had the bye week. He did play before, and he didn't. Let me pull up how many targets did Devontae Parker have last time they played? He had 5 targets for 5 receptions for 62 yards. Are you worried about Parker taking away from any of Waddle's targets now that he's back healthy and been able to practice for a couple weeks?
No, not at all. Devontae Parker is Devontae Parker, and if he's going to do it again, like he's kind of been a little. It's funny if you look back. He comes on around this time of the year, but I don't see it happening. The rapport it goes back to the Alabama days. The rapport is there. Obviously, there wasn't a big rapport already to begin with Tua because that success that Devontae Parker has had was with Fitzpatrick. So I don't really think he's gonna be a thorn in the side for Jalen Waddle's upside. I think, like I said, I confidently, I'm not even saying it to be hot takey. I really think Jalen Waddle could easily finish as top 5 wide receiver at his position this week in fantasy.
Are you looking at starting Parker in some deeper leagues this week? Because I am. I actually am starting him in one of my leagues. 5 targets was his least on the season. 7-9, 7-9, and 11. So there is some connection there with Tua. I think they both have big games with the running backs being out. Do you feel the same that way? Yeah.
Yeah, I could. I have more of a salty take on Devontae Parker for him not really living up to the hype, to be totally honest. So you're probably you have a more level look at it than I do.
Yeah. So when I'm talking about Devontae Parker, you listen to me, and then when Zach's talking about Cordell Patterson, you listen to him.
Right. Exactly.
That's gonna be our advice there. But Jeff and Will, do you guys have any thoughts on Jalen Waddle this week going up against the Jets, who have actually been pretty good against the wide receiver position this year? Does that concern you guys at all?
Well, that's the one thing that I do like about Jalen Waddle. When there's an issue at the running back position, that's where Tua turns and gets a lot of those dump offs to him. So the targets basically get magnified. They use them as almost like they use Gaskin as well on a couple of those short tosses and things like that. So I know he's going to get the targets. That's the thing that I love about Waddle. And I think he's going to, turn the opportunities into some decent yardage as well. So, I love guys, Waddle, Deontay Johnson, all of those guys get those targets. Those are the guys that I'm running with, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree that way. And to me, I think Jalen Waddle's proven outside of that Buffalo game. He's been matchup proof, even playing as a good secondary like the Carolina Panthers. He still had a big week, going for 137 and the touchdown. So to me, I'm not worried. Like I've seen people who are like, they're worried about the Jets matchup because they look and they see the Jets, the little red name there for the Jets because they have been so good against the wide receiver position. But for me, I'm not worried about that because the targets will be there either way. And any sort of PPR, Jalen Waddle. If you drafted Jalen Waddle, if you were lucky enough to get him up off the waiver wire, he's going to be my waiver wire ad of the year, not Cordell Patterson. Do not care about Cordell Patterson. Give me the wide receiver 13, Jalen Waddle, who, if you have Jalen Waddle on your team, as Zach said, you're probably in the playoffs. So, Will, what are your thoughts on Jalen Waddle this week against the Jets?
Probably 9 or 10 looks, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll take that against the Jets, especially at home.
Yeah.
Right. It should be right. The weather doesn't look like it's going to be bad, so it should be a good game. And look, Tua's starting to roll to me. Like Tua might.
The entire team is.
Yeah, but Tua looks like it's clicked. Like the NFL, he's finally got to the point he understands the game, which last year, can anyone hold last year against him? I mean, he's clicking right now. Miami's clicking. If they make the playoffs, I don't want to play them.
Well, easy, but we're one of those. But listen, I loved everything you said there, and I agree 1,000%. It's just like the fan in me is like, oh no, we're good now.
Don't say it.
No.
No, I think there's definitely some tougher teams in the AFC that I'd much rather play the Dolphins over come playoff time, whether or not they're hot or not. Like I said, but anyways, Jalen Waddle. Waiver wire pickup of the year. No need to bring Cordell Patterson into the conversation. It's not even close.
Hold on. 3 names: Deontay Johnson, Jalen Waddle, Cordell Patterson.
Yeah.
Target monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cordell Patterson we just went over this. He only had 1 reception last week. He's not a target monster.
I just wanted to
you can't be a target monster with 1 reception.
I'm telling you, man.
That's not quite. You could have thrown Cooper Kupp in there. Like there was Devontae Adams, like so many other options, and you chose Cordell Patterson. You could have thrown. You could have thrown my next. You could have thrown my next pick. A guy that I absolutely loved, who I was also high on before the season, Deebo Samuel. He was absolutely non-existent in the passing game last week, which has some people concerned. He's been extremely involved in the running game. Apparently he is the better version of Cordell Patterson. So, but I think this week going up against a terrible secondary in Atlanta, he will get more involved in the passing game. I'm expecting another big week from Deebo Samuel. Passing game, running game, you're going to get a mix of all of it. Deebo Samuel, must play. Terrible defense. He's had over 5 carries in 4 straight games, and he scored a touchdown on the ground in each of those 4 games. So, with the bad secondary, he'll get more looks in the passing game. He's been involved in the running game around the goal line, which is what you like to see when you're getting the guy, when the ball is in his hands around the goal line. I don't see there's a way where Deebo's not putting up 20 points this week. But anyone want to chime in on Deebo Samuel? Zach looks like he's ready to share some wisdom.
Yeah. Deebo Samuel is really good at football. That's going to be wide receiver 4 in the year, something like that. He's got like 57 catches. So put in perspective, Tyreek Hill has 90. So when you think of Tyreek Hill as like big play, downfield, whereas like Deebo Samuel is doing what he's doing on, like, he's so efficient. It's ridiculous. And then it's like, oh, well, he's not in the passing game. They're like, no, it's fine. He's our running back now. So no matter what, you're covered. And it's funny because I'm almost positive Deebo Samuel really attributes his his greatness this year to Cordell Patterson. Said he studied his tape a lot, noticed the whole running back wide receiver thing. Said he really wanted to,
There it is.
follow in Patterson's footsteps.
No, I'm pretty sure that wasn't Patterson there, Debo has reposted me a couple times on his story, so that's someone who has been in contact with him. I can tell you that is not true. From the horse's mouth himself, Debo was in my DMs and said nope.
Yep.
It was Ty Montgomery actually, back when he transitioned to running back. It wasn't Cordell Patterson. You had the wrong running back or wide receiver turned running back. But
I love Ty Montgomery. That guy won me. He was a sneaky play back in the day with the Packers.
Yep.
He was a sneaky waiver ad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jeff and Will, you guys both good with Debo?
Yeah. But the Falcons have scarred you Panthers fans for so long. You just can't stand
the Falcons aren't the reason I don't like Cordell Patterson. Matt Nagy is the reason I don't like Cordell Patterson. It's to do with his time with the Bears.
And it just translated into him playing for Atlanta. And I was just like,
I could care less where he's playing. The Panthers aren't competing for anything this year anymore, so it doesn't matter. He could be playing for the Panthers, and I would not like Cordell Patterson.
Hey, Cordell Patterson is what CMC wishes he was.
Oh, flipping that.
No.
Love it.
CMC does everything better than Cordell Patterson.
Except stay healthy.
Yeah, except stay healthy. But, that's because Cordell Patterson is not on the field half the time, so he doesn't really have to worry about much workload.
So, Zach, what are you going to do if Cordell ends up on the Panthers next year?
I'm just not going to cheer for the Panthers next year. Like Zach was talking about, if the Dolphins get rid of Tua, he would want to be a Dolphins fan. If we signed Cordell Patterson, I might have to just not cheer for the Panthers next season. I just can't.
Seems comparable.
Yeah, it's the same thing, really. Tua, Cordell Patterson, same situation. But let's move on to Will's next guy. He's got the wide receiver.
I love.
Hold on. He's going up against one of the top secondaries in the league. He will probably be shadowed by Stephon Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore would be a little familiar with this guy, so I don't agree with this one being going over his projected points. But Will, let's hear your reasoning first.
Oh, let me tell you something. I think this is the game that Diggs puts up really big numbers. If there was ever a game, like he just kind of got that feeling with Buffalo, they're under a lot of criticism. People are like, they may not make the playoffs. And one thing I learned about Diggs from the Vikings is he is the guy in a situation like this and walk in that locker room and say, put it on my back. I'm going to win this game. I'm going to carry us to the playoffs. And I just think this is the week. If you have Diggs on your roster, I mean, you should be starting him anyway, but this is the week to me that you can bet on him to give you between 20 and 30 points. I think Buffalo is it's at home. They're reeling. I just get the sense it's going to be all in on Diggs and passing. Shit, Buffalo don't even run the ball anymore. They don't even know what a running back is, right?
I think they got to. I don't think they can beat the Panthers with Stephon Diggs this week. I think Stephon Gilmore being a part of that secondary, he should be in line to play the most snaps he has played all year. You guys be like, oh, but Stephon Gilmore, he's played in that division throughout his entire career when he played for the Bills, and then he played for the Patriots against the Bills. But yeah, I don't think Stephon Diggs is the guy who beats the Panthers this week. I think it'll be Josh Allen on the ground. And to be honest, the way the Panthers defense plays, I'm not going to be surprised if Gabriel Davis has a big week. I wouldn't be surprised if Gabriel Davis outscores Stephon Diggs this week. I'm not going to be surprised. But Zach and Jeff, what are your thoughts on Stephon Diggs this week?
My first thought is I think you're giving the Panthers defense a little too much credit. But I understand. Being a fan, I do the same thing when I tell you that Tua is going to be top 5 every week. and I lead people to a loss. But no, I what was the score last week for Panthers Falcons game?
29-14 or something.
So that was Falcons putting up 29 points.
Yeah, and then when Stephon Gilmore was on Kyle Pitts and Cordell Patterson, they both did nothing. So
right,
just,
but so and as good
that's
as
why I said the Panthers are going to get beat in other areas. It just won't be Stephon Diggs.
Right, and it could be just one play that Diggs beats Gilmore. And it's all it takes with Stephon Diggs because he's such an explosive player, and it's almost like he's one of those players that if you kind of look at his game log and you see like a few down games, it's kind of like that like sneaky part of fantasy where you're like, I got a feeling, and I'm with you. I think he's definitely gonna have at least he's got to get a touchdown this game. Like he can't go. What has it been? 2 weeks without a TD?
Yeah, 2 weeks without a touchdown. He went 3 weeks without. He went 3 weeks without a touchdown earlier on the season. So doing it again wouldn't be a surprise.
And that was the gap, right? It was 3 games. So if you kind of hedging your bets here, the third game, squeaky wheel.
Yeah, I think if Stephon Gilmore was going to have a big game, it won't be this week and it won't be next week either. Week 17, Stephon Gilmore could go for 40 when he's playing Atlanta, sure. But this week against Carolina and next week against New England. Going up against J.C. Jackson and Stephon Gilmore in back-to-back weeks, that's not something you want to be doing if you're a starting wide receiver in the NFL. But, Jeff, what are your thoughts on Stephon Diggs going up against the Panthers defense this week?
I think that Josh Allen is going to get him the ball because, as Will said, he is one of those guys that will will his way into the end zone. Yeah. Taking nothing away from Stephon Gilmore, one of the top DBs in the league. But when it gets to crunch time, that's when Diggs is one of those receivers that he just becomes elite. I don't necessarily know what the game plan has been over these last couple of weeks, but now with them being in the position to where they have to start winning games to put themselves back into position, not just to have a wild card, but actually have a chance to get momentum going into the next game against the Patriots, I think Diggs is to that point like, hey, let's get our offense back on track with the connection between me and Josh Allen. And unfortunately, Gilmore is going to be the guy that is going to be more of the victim than the victor in that battle this week.
Yeah,
Sorry, Zach.
I thought Diggs was going to have a big week last week.
Did you just kind of equate Cordell Patterson to to Diggs?
Yeah.
Is that what you were doing with?
Yeah.
With Gilmore covering him?
Yeah, so, because when he was lined up at wide, Cordell Patterson had been the best weapon on the offense because there really isn't outside Kyle Pitts any weapons on the Falcons offense. So Stephon Gilmore will go up against the number one on that team. Whoever it may be, it's going to be Stephon Diggs this week. And Stephon Diggs just went up against a piss poor Tampa Bay secondary and wasn't able to put up many fantasy points for you. So I don't know. I'm just not super excited about Stephon Diggs. We'll come back to this next week. But let's talk about Jeff's guy. I think is an absolute no-brainer. Fantasy MVP. Take it away, Jeff.
My man, 10 touchdowns over the last 5 games. Jonathan Taylor. Coming off of a bye as well, getting some rest. This is going to let me know how real New England is. We all know that Belichick likes to take away that one guy that is their main part of the offense. That would be Jonathan Taylor. What he did against the Bills defense, which to me has they're a better team against the run than the Patriots. I want to see if the Patriots are going to be able to stop this guy. I don't think they will be able to. He's just a monster. I mean, he is, to me, Derrick Henry light right now, to where you can go ahead and try to stack the box against him. He's going to find the end zone. So we've got New England, and then we got a softer defense in Arizona. I think this dude at least puts up 3 touchdowns over the next 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a touchdown in 10 games straight. He put up 24 points last week without having a single target. So I don't know, unless Will or Zach's feeling really bold, I don't think you're going to get anyone saying Jonathan Taylor is not going to have another big week.
I think he's terrible. No, yeah. But if I'm going to be just totally honest, gut feeling, I really think with the whole Belichick takes away the number one option, right? And I think that the Patriots' run defense is actually pretty good. I think the defense as a whole is pretty good. But I do think Jonathan Taylor's talent is just so ridiculous that he's going to be able to. I don't know if he's giving you one of those 3 touchdown games, maybe not even a multi-touchdown game, but I think he's just too good to not at least meet the projected points, but give you a little extra on top of it too, to give you that advantage at the position.
Yeah, I agree. Will, anything you want to chime in here? No.
No, I think Colts win that game on Saturday. Personally,
I think they do too. I think they win. Been big Colts supporter. I had them before the whole Carson Wentz injury in the preseason. Had them going 14-3. Obviously, Carson Wentz, started off a little slower, and now Jonathan Taylor and the offense is starting to look good. So I am a big believer in that team. But let's move on to the social media post of the week. We'll keep you guys on so we can talk about this after. But Urban Meyer has had his struggles. I know Will and I have made it very well known, as well as Jeff, where our position on Urban Meyer. Pretty much Josh Lambo, who was the former kicker for the Jacksonville Jaguars, published a story saying how Urban Meyer kicked him in practice. He said it wasn't just a love tap. It was about a 5 out of 10. And then he went up to Urban Meyer. He's like, don't ever kick me again. With everything else that's happened with Urban Meyer this season, I never think he should have been the Jaguars head coach. This entire situation with what happened when he left his team, went to the club or the bar, had that girl. And now this again, I can't see a reason why you're bringing Urban Meyer back next year. But I want to get your thoughts on this situation because Will was talking earlier and he's saying I didn't think this was that big of a deal. So Will, let's talk about this. I don't think it's as big a deal as people are making it out to be either, but just another reason to get him gone. So Will, let's start with Will.
I don't think it's really. Yeah, it's inappropriate. Yeah, but come on now. I mean, it's football. I mean, shit. Come on. And to me, this is a PR move to set the stage to find a reason to fire him with cause, so you don't have to pay the contract. That's what this is. This is the ownership deciding, I made a mistake. I don't want to buy him out at his full guaranteed contract. But if I have cause for abuse, then I can maybe arbitrate it and save some money.
Yeah, I think that also is the old way of thinking, which I think the same way. Coaches need to be physical with the players and everything. Obviously, you don't need to abuse the players, but shit happens when you're playing football. It's part of the game. I don't know, but I know there's a lot of people now. They see a hit in a game, they're like, "Oh my god, why'd you do that?" So I'm like,
yeah, toughen up, Josh Lambo.
Right.
Yeah,
softy. You play the easiest position. You got to kick 10 field goals in a season, and you get paid millions of dollars. And I don't care. Urban Meyer should kick. He should kick all those players for sucking so much. You'd be like, guys, you're killing me. All I want to do is hit the bar, flirt with a couple college chicks, and Josh Lambo's out here crying about a 5 out of 10 kick. My grandma gives an 8 out of 10 kick. Come on, get out of here with that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the club thing, the bar thing to me was a bigger issue than this. Leaving the team behind.
Yeah.
And then going out of your way. He's got to go.
It's just a blemish.
Not playing Josh Robinson is a way more fireable offense than
not playing James Robinson all the time.
Or James Robinson, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are we doing, Urban Meyer? Get out of Jacksonville.
It's the look. That's what it is. It's the look. I have really screwed up this whole thing. I'm not an NFL coach. That's the look. It's like, I'm horrible. That's what the look tells you. But what other franchise does this fit other than the Jacksonville Jaguars? And then to compound that, did you see the statement that Shad Khan put out, almost like backing him, like giving reasons why they're not going to fire him?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, and then they were making it sound like they are the one franchise that is known for making great decisions. I was like, this whole thing is a mess.
Yeah, I gotta make sure I make the right decisions for the team and the community. And Urban Meyer should never been hired if you're making the right decisions for your team.
Exactly. I mean, go ahead, just look at what they've done to players. In Dockway, look at what they've done to Leonard Fournette. These guys have just blossomed now that they're out of there. So it's just like, this is what that franchise has been reduced to right now. You have a horrible owner. You have a horrible head coach. The whole situation is horrible. They just need to restart everything.
So can we
be a city decides to get rid of an owner? How about that? A city just
can we make a petition for just to make Jags fans suffer more? Can we make a petition for their next head coach to be Adam Gase? Would Adam Gase be an upgrade over Urban Meyer?
I'm not
Hot
sure.
take.
I'm not sure either, but I can see the Jaguars doing that, bring in Adam Gase and absolutely ruin your franchise for another couple years. Why not? It'll be fun.
I can see them doing something like hiring Jim Caldwell. He gets them to 8-8, and then they fire him because he didn't get them to the playoffs.
Damn.
That's what these franchises do. Detroit and Jacksonville, they're the same franchise, just in different parts of the country.
No, Jacksonville will go get what's his name from Clemson.
Dabo.
Dabo Sweeney.
Yeah,
I think they learned their lesson with
that they just had.
I think they learned their lesson that they can't do college.
No, because he'll think it gets him a name.
I don't think Sweeney won't want the job though. Sweeney won't want the job though. No way he's gonna take that. The Jaguars job.
Jaguars were like, hey, Eric Bieniemy, I've noticed your offense has just been absolutely humming the last 3 years straight. But we're gonna go with this guy. He's out here pounding White Claws by the pool, while Eric Bieniemy stays up all night finding out ways to scheme. He's trying to scheme Tyreek Hill open. They're like, no, we're gonna go with this guy.
If they were smart, they would try to get Leftwich, but that's just that would make a lot of sense, right, on multiple levels. But they won't.
Full circle.
Yeah.
I mean, there's multitude of other options. If Josh McDaniels wants a head coaching job, another name that makes sense. I don't think Josh McDaniels has passed up much better opportunities to stay with New England, so I don't really consider that actually going to be happening. But
John Gruden.
That would make so much sense. That would make so much sense.
A perfect transition.
Perfect transition.
Chip Kelly, that'd be amazing. Just keep them going.
Chip Kelly, yeah. Why not?
John Gruden fits perfectly.
Let's just go down that dream.
Who you don't even need to fire Urban Meyer. Just have co-head coaches. Can you do that? Have two head coaches, John Gruden, Urban Meyer, side by side.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. One calls the offense, one calls the defense. You don't even need your coordinators anymore. They can be gone.
Right. You save all that money.
Yeah, exactly. You're saving all that money. You just bring in John Gruden, pay him $100 million for 10 years. Yeah. Get the same contract to Urban Meyer. Your franchise will be running great for the next 10 years. I promise. It's a great idea. Shad Khan, if you're listening, please sign John Gruden in any capacity. It would be amazing.
Shad Khan wins.
Yeah, the Jaguars,
like a Mortal Kombat character.
the Jaguars are one team that needs to switch up their ownership. Obviously I think Cowboys need to switch up their ownership too. Stephen Jones
let's see. Washington, Detroit, Cowboys.
Yeah. Zach wants Miami. Yeah,
Jackson. How can Stephen Ross show up to the building when he's just been toying around with Deshaun prison? It's like, I don't understand. I just don't understand. I just don't understand it. And I'll go off on a tangent, so I'm going to just save it. But yes, as a team that needs to be added to the list of old, I'm not going to get into more details of these type of guys, but they need to be out. Yeah. And we need to get some fresh blood in there.
Yeah. There you go. That's true.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Old people stuck in their ways, eh, Zach?
Yeah.
Old people, eh?
Hey,
But
Jeff,
yeah,
they might be talking about us. We better be careful.
No,
No, that's
no,
right.
Joe, come on, man. Stephen Ross is like 80 something years old.
Like, we cover up the grays here. We're like,
hey, I turned 30 next week, so
Wow, man.
I'm basically old too. So it's all good.
Not really.
I'll just stay out of this conversation then.
No, don't make me pull out my AARP card.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's awesome.
Good deal.
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys all for joining tonight. It was a great show, and I want to thank everyone for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we hope you make it into your next round of the playoffs.
Woo!
You can check me out. Yeah, you can check me out on Instagram and Twitter at Pro Football Craze. You can check Zach out on Instagram and Twitter as well at Ocean State FF. And then obviously you can check Jeff out on media. I mean, me and Jeff too, because I'll be on there for sure as well.
Yes.
So you check both of us out on the media page on Instagram. And then, like I said before, make sure you guys go check out the app. A new version will be releasing soon. And you're definitely going to want to be on it. It's going to be great. It's going to be huge. But yeah, thanks again, everyone. And I hope you guys enjoyed.
All right, y'all. See you next week.
Yeah,
Thanks,
see you
guys.
next week.